I'm Tim Barkley with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and today we're talking with Chip Naramore with RS Custom Homes. How you doing, Chip?
Great, thank you. How you doing?
Doing good, thank you. And also Joey Bohlander with Southern Lumber and Millwork. How you doing, Joey?
Doing great, thanks.
Good. Well, thanks for having us out to this beautiful Sullivans Island custom home. And why don't you take a couple minutes and just kind of tell us about the home in general, Chip?
Sure. The house is located right on the harbor on Sullivans Island, and it's approximately about 7,000 square feet. And it's, as you can tell, it's got a very elaborate trim package, and has Marvin windows throughout all the house, Marvin doors. And one of the great things about Marvin is it offers a lot of detail and a lot of options in terms of the style of window and the lights. It's finished on the inside very nicely as compared to a lot of the other windows brands. And this particular house has all impact glass in it, which means that especially living here on the coast with the potential for hurricanes, it is the impact glass is much stronger than your typical window. It can take the impact of what's called a flying missile or some large object hitting the glass, and it'll crack, but the object won't penetrate the window, and the window won't come out of the frame of the house. So the codes for this area require that every home have some type of impact protection on all the openings, whether it's impact glass with the windows or where it's hurricane shutters. And it's up to the preference of the homeowner. Obviously, in a house like this, we have such great views. You don't want to obstruct those views with various types of hurricane shutters. And so frequently the homeowners would choose the impact glass as the preferable option. Price-wise, it's depending on the window itself, it's not a huge difference between the impact-rated windows and hurricane shutters. So you have the convenience of the windows and not having to do anything to prepare for the storms, which you would if you had shutters. You would have to close those somehow. And with the height of some of these homes, it could be a little bit of a chore to get that done, particularly if you're not at home, when the hurricane shows up.
Yeah, so a lot of our listeners, readers, and viewers may not be aware, but they may be living in a home that does not meet current codes. If they don't have impact rated windows, which is a special kind of glass in those window frames, or if they don't have any kind of hurricane shutters or even plywood sitting in their that's pre-cut sitting in their garage, their home does not meet today's current codes, right?
That's correct. And that is, you mentioned plywood, that is an option that is allowed for protecting your windows. In reality, it's not a very preferred option because it's difficult to, if you think about it, to get the plywood up a ladder and actually secure it to the windows to protect all your openings, particularly in a lot of homes where you're 10 to 12 foot off the ground before you get to your first heated floor, and then you have a second and sometimes a third floor on top of that. It's virtually impossible to get plywood up and attached in a safe fashion and in a timely fashion too. So
sure, I mean, just picture it. A few days before a hurricane's going to make landfall, and you're starting to. It's normally windy out here on Sullivans Island, anyways, and trying to get a large piece of plywood up 3 stories on a ladder is virtually impossible.
Yeah, and then hold it in place while you fasten it. So it's an option right now. I don't know how long it will continue to be an option. Probably the first time there's a hurricane and everybody that's supposed to have put up plywood doesn't because they can't. And when there's a lot of damage, then they'll probably find that it'll be eliminated as an option. Your two really most viable options are either hurricane impact rated glass or hurricane shutters.
Now, you mentioned the fabulous views that this homeowner on Sullivans Island has, and there's no doubt about that. Does impact-rated glass affect the view out someone's window, Joey?
No, it does not, and that's the beauty of impact glass. You have the protection, but it looks just like a normal window, so you maintain all the good views.
And what about it from a builder's point of view? What's the difference, let's say, in installing impact-rated glass windows versus non-impact rated glass?
Well, there's really two primary factors. One, the installation process itself is different. And it varies by manufacturer, but each window will have a clip, some type of metal clip or fastener that has to fasten the window itself to the framing. And that's part of how it gets its impact rating, in addition to the glass being more difficult to break and shatter. Secondly, is impact glass windows are heavier. I mean, they are significantly heavier, so just the physical aspect of getting them set in place and all is a little bit more difficult because of the weight. But other than that, I mean, they go in just like any other window, and they fit just like any other window, and they operate just like any other window.
Okay. Well, Joey, you were mentioning that model that kind of shows a cross section of an impact rated glass window. Can you kind of describe what that impact rated glass looks like for our listeners, viewers, and readers?
Sure, it's insulated impact glass, so it's two pieces of glass. On the outside piece of glass is your normal glass like you find on any other window or door, but the inside piece of glass is laminated like the windshield of your car. And that gives you your impact rated protection. When these windows are tested, they are put in a wind chamber, and they're tested to 130 mile an hour wind codes. Actually, and if you test a window this size, you'd be surprised. The window bows in a couple feet inside and outside. And Marvin puts their impact glass on the inside, which is better for the homeowner. If you would imagine the opposite, if the regular glass was on the inside and the impact glass was on the outside, if the wind were blowing against the home and the window bowed in, it would shatter that inside piece of glass and would spread glass all throughout the house. So it's really good to have that impact glass on the inside, so when it does bow in, it'll crack, but it won't let a lot of the wind and the water or glass fragments into the house.
So impact rated glass is designed to stop a flying projectile. Let's say a grill that a neighbor hasn't tied down, and the hurricane force winds picks up that grill, smashes into an unprotected window. Chip, in your experience, what happens next to a home after a window's been penetrated?
Well, once the home has been penetrated, whether it's through a window or door or whatever, then the pressure, the wind gets inside the home, the pressure builds up, and that's where the real damage can occur. The roof can begin to lift off and or at least raise up some, which allows then more wind, more pressure inside, and it just feeds on itself. And of course it allows the rain and the wind in, which brings all the debris and the rain. And once the pressure on the inside of the house builds up, then the likelihood of other windows breaking and being penetrated increases, and then you just have a real disaster on your hands.
You mentioned that because they have impact rated glass windows, there's no need for hurricane shutters or anything like that. If a hurricane was to threaten, what would the homeowner have to do in terms of preparing their home to evacuate?
In terms of the windows and the doors, one of the requirements is that the windows actually be latched. So every window has a latch, and every door has a lock. So the windows, to fully implement their strength, the windows and the doors have to be latched and locked. So that's basically all they need to do is go around, make sure every window is latched and every door is locked.
And most homeowners keep their windows and doors latched and locked anyways.
Correct. So in that case, really it's just going around and checking to find that one or two windows or doors that aren't prepared.
Yeah. So theoretically, the homeowner, and sometimes when you have these large custom-built homes on Sullivans Island, Kiowa, Seabrook, and so forth, a lot of times these are second homes for people, and so they may be out of town, they might be on vacation, they may be in their primary residence out of town, and they don't really have to worry too much then about preparing their home for those hurricane force winds.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's the beauty of impact glass. A lot of the homes we build are in fact second homes or vacation homes, and people are not here, and if they are, they leave. They make a point of not being here if there's a hurricane warning, and so they don't have that worry of did I put down all the shutters before I left? I can't remember I got that one up in the bedroom or not, or finding someone who will go and do that for them. So that issue is completely eliminated.
So if you're building a new house, you're going to have some sort of window and door protection, some kind of hurricane protection for your windows and doors. And when you take the price of a non-impact rated glass window, add on the price of putting shutters on the entire house, it starts to get up into about the same price as just buying impact rated glass. Is that what you were saying before?
Yeah, it's very comparable. Now, different types of hurricane shutters cost different amounts. The Bahama shutters, are one price. The type that are on hinges and close, those two are rather comparable in price. If you get the roll-down shutters that basically have a little box at the top of the window, and the shutter actually rolls down like a garage door almost, especially if you get those where they're switch operated, electric, they can get fairly pricey, and that can be a little bit more expensive than some of the impact rated glass models. But by and large, it's pretty much a wash.
This is kind of the Cadillac of hurricane protection, though. To have impact rated windows, you don't have to worry about doing anything to prepare. You just lock your windows and doors and leave.
By far, it's the most practical method. And then when you have shutters, not all shutters can be shut from the inside. Sometimes you have to get on a ladder from the outside and shut the shutter and put a bar across it on the outside. And then roll up and roll down shutters, whether they're electrified or they're mechanical, there's the gear mechanism in the box, and you really have to service that to make sure it's oiled, well maintained, that when a hurricane does come, it's going to work for you. And then, you have to have that service in mind when you do that kind of impact protection.
There's a lot of servicing that goes on here on these big homes on the islands. We're right here on Charleston Harbor, and a lot of sea and salt air, right?
That's right. The environment's really harsh on these homes, and any type of mechanism really takes a wear and tear, and it requires routine maintenance and routine taking care of it and oiling it and making sure it's going to work when you need it. And if you've got impact windows, you don't have to worry about that.
Now, Chip, there are other window companies that have impact-rated glass windows, and you could have steered the homeowner in any particular direction. Why did you urge them to choose Marvin impact-rated windows?
Well, there's a variety of reasons. We actually went and looked at samples of the various brands. And as I said, the Marvin windows are finished out very nicely on the inside, and they give a much cleaner finished look than some of the other brands. The homeowner liked that look and wanted that. She also, in the doors, she has a lot of French doors. She wanted a quarter panel door where the bottom quarter or third of it is wood and the remainder of it is glass. Marvin's one of the few brands that offers that. So that played into it also.
And the Marvin windows were sourced from Southern Lumber and Millwork, along with a lot of the other building materials here that we're going to talk about in a second. But what was it like working? Why did you choose Southern Lumber and Millwork for the building materials and for the Marvin windows?
Well, Southern Lumber has a strong reputation of providing very, very high quality materials. They service what they sell very, very well, and I have established relationship with a lot of the vendors and the repair and the support people, the sales people there. So it was an easy decision.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we're going to take a look at the rest of the house here in a moment, but before we do, we're actually going to be doing kind of a separate video to talk about some of the other building materials that came from Southern Lumber and Millwork. But before we do, let's let you give everybody your contact information, Chip, for RS Custom Homes.
Sure. Again, the name of our company is RS Custom Homes. My name is Chip Naramore. We're located on the Isle of Palms, and we can be reached at 843-886-5187, and my email address is chip@rscustomhomes.net.
Okay, great. And how about contact information for Southern Lumber and Millwork?
Southern Lumber and Millwork, we're at 2031 King Street on the Upper King Street extension, and you can call me directly at 843-452-0125. And my email address is joey@southernlumbermillwork.com, and millwork is singular.
Okay, great. Well, we're gonna, as I mentioned, we're gonna do another video to talk about some of the other building materials for this beautiful home here on Sullivans Island. And so all you'll have to do is just do a quick search of that on YouTube if you want to watch another video to see the rest of the house. But in the meantime, we have been talking with Joey Bohlander with Southern Lumber and Millwork, and also Chip Naramore with RS Custom Homes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Enjoyed it.